There's always this thing that for landscape photographers that we're not really looking our best first thing in the morning. But in my case today, I have no excuse because I got up late and I had to completely change my plans and change the venue. But this place is one of those places that you can come almost any time of the day because the light is always subdued, and the only thing that you have to avoid is tourists. So there is a fine balance here, because if you come too early, it's far too dim inside, and plus you have to also fight your way through the soy dogs. They really don't like you to come in the dark. But then you also have to come a little bit early to avoid the tourists, because far too many coming here. I'm not entirely sure why, because I wouldn't say it's the most beautiful spot in the world, but it is nevertheless very pleasant sitting here in the trees. A portrait is a natural way to shoot a waterfall, I think, and I think I prefer it too. But the problem is, nobody else looks at your images when they're portraits, except other photographers. Or maybe that's what I should be aiming for. I'm still quite new to this game, so I've only been doing photography for a year, and I think in the space of a year I've learnt how to go from nothing to what I'm doing today. And the only reason I've been able to achieve that is because I've been using a mirrorless camera, and the reason for that is because with a mirrorless camera, it does everything that a DSLR does, except you get a constant preview, and that's clearly an advantage, because I had no idea what I was doing to start with, and I became aware of the triangle, aperture, shutter speed and ISO within the first couple of weeks, and I had no idea what an f-stop was at the beginning, and I just started off with aperture priority, and then realised that there were certain times when I wanted to get just one object in the focus and the rest blurred out. And then that followed that naturally the light would change, and I realised when I looked at the front of the lens that the actual aperture planes were opening and closing. I didn't realise that at the beginning. And then I realised that, oh, this is controlling the depth of field because of the angle of light is changing. So that's how I began. And of course I was trying to use the shutter speed as a way to control the light from then on, and I realised that you couldn't do that. There were many circumstances where I just couldn't get a sharp shot because the shutter speed was too slow. So then I realised, I have to use my ISO. So that's how I learned. I learned by myself, and a bit of YouTube too. YouTube is fantastic. But seriously, I think with a mirrorless camera, anybody can learn through trial and error, just by looking at the image. Whereas if I started off with a DSLR, I don't think I probably would have come along so quickly. I think now, yes, I could probably use a DSLR, and yes, there are preview settings on a DSLR, but it's a little bit more difficult. Now, as I mentioned before, there are disadvantages with a mirrorless camera, and one of the main disadvantages are trying to focus in low light. And okay, you can take a really good picture in low light with this camera. This is a Sony A7R II. But trying to focus it in low light is quite difficult because you're seeing an electronic preview, and I would say it's probably not much better than my parents' first TV in the 1960s. So there is something to be said for a DSLR in this case. Other disadvantages are, I don't think there are any. I mentioned that you have to be a little bit careful with the grip, but that can apply to any camera. And the reason I'm saying that is because these new lenses are very, very heavy in comparison to the actual body. And the button to twist off the lens is in the same place almost as where you'd naturally put your fingers when you were holding the camera. And I've actually lost the lens a couple of times. Luckily, I've been standing over a sofa or a bed, otherwise I would have damaged the lens. Now I'm very aware of it, but at the time. But other than that, I absolutely love this camera. I've got an A7 Mark II. I started off with the A6000. Perfect camera to begin with. I've seen the new A6500, which I would love to buy. And I moved to an A7 II because I wanted to try to control the ISO a little bit better. But then I was struggling with the depth of field, because the depth of field is a little bit more sensitive in full frame camera. And I'm still struggling with that. And now I have the A7R2. Is it much better than the A7 II? My personal reasons are that I wanted to be able to crop the images down, because I'm not very good at composing the shot yet. There's a very good photographer in Australia called Jeff Wood, and I wrote to him, and he's wonderful at his composition, but he'll pick up just a few items, and he said he's not taken a beautiful image, he's taken an image of beautiful things, and I thought this was quite lovely. So very inspiring. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm doing my best to avoid trying to capture the entire view, which is a natural thing to do, and try to just focus in on the nice elements that you're looking at. It's deciding what are the nice elements, and of course you need to get a balance of light, obviously. Now the light's getting a little bit better now, and there are no tourists around at the moment, so I should get on shooting. Now you're probably wondering why I haven't put the lens hood on, and the reason for that is because I need to put the polarizer on, and because I have just bought this lens. This is an 82mm wide lens, and all my other lenses are 72mm. I don't yet have the adapter ring, so I really want to shoot with this lens today, so don't do this. Good enough for me. Let's try to get the best position. Yeah, so that's it. So I'm just going to hold it in that position. You need to bump up the ISO a bit. Just hold it as closely as you can, getting your fingers out of the way, of course. I'm going to drop this. I know I will. Right. Preview that. You might be able to see, I don't know, if it focuses all these dents around here. And that's because I dropped it last week down the side of a cliff and into the sea. And I foolishly got into the sea to retrieve it, because actually I should say I don't want to pay out again, but to be honest I don't care about that. I care about the fact I would have to wait for a week or so to get another one. I think the better shot really is to try to get some rocks in place. So I'm going to move the tripod. Now it's a bit of a struggle trying to put this flipping polarizer on. I'm going to put my feet in the water. Oh, it's cold. And the reason I'm going to put my feet in the water is because I've got a better balance at the very least. Just to tweak the polarizer back, I've got a habit of just using it full on. This is a silly thing to do. Otherwise, why wouldn't they just make something that you don't turn? You just stick it on the front and it works straight away. That's probably called a neutral density, isn't it? Okay, well, this is amazing log here. I say amazing. I sound like a landscape photographer now, don't I? There's this rather lovely log over here, and with having a better, yes, that's a very nice shot. I'll die if I get home and I discover I got my fingers in the way. I can't believe I'm still alone here. What day is it? Friday. Well, it's not a working day for tourists, is it? Oh, it's a really nice shot. Well, for me. It wouldn't be for anybody else, maybe. I know what the heck I'm doing. Don't think I'm not competitive. I am. I like to try to get the very best image out, and well, I say competitive. I like to try to get something as good as anybody else. I truly do, but I'm not going to die if I don't do it. One more for luck, and one more again because I always screw things up in threes. In that case, I should be doing a fourth, shouldn't I? I don't know how. Seriously, I don't know how Simon Baxter. He's wonderful. Thomas Heaton, of course, he's the god, and the likes of all the GoPro landscape photographers. Well, they're not GoPro, are they? They're using better cameras than GoPro. Well, some are anyway. I don't know how they do it because it's very inconvenient. It's extremely inconvenient lugging all the gear around, and then talking to yourself, because that's really what you're doing. You're talking to yourself. Now, I do that anyway. That's not to say I don't do it. I do. Right, I need to do some serious photography now, so I have to say bye-bye and let me get on with it because I'm not very good at this, and it takes me quite a few goes. So, bye-bye.